Prime Minister has spoken about plans to legislate limits, to the federal spending power. But all of us have to wonder that this continued hostility towards social programs, hostility that he championed when he was head of the National Citizens Coalition, a hostility that he demonstrated as a Prime Minister when he cancelled the Childcare Act, which had been negotiated with the provinces. The early learning and childcare agreements, which would have provided the children and Canadian families with an opportunity to invest in early learning. This hostility and the federal spending power mechanism that he speaks about is actually going to jeopardize Medicare, is going to continue to jeopardize national programs that are of prime importance to Canadian families, like childcare. Code Blue for Childcare, which has done a tremendous job advocating and speaking up on behalf of Canadian families, on behalf of Canada's children, wrote a letter recently, and I quote, "The Conservatives are misusing Quebecers' desire to control their own social institutions, to cover their actions, even though Parliament has all of the practical toolkits that it requires to protect and expand very important social programs while respecting Quebec's distinct status." They go on to talk about the fact that this particular government has also given out $1,200 to Canadian families, $1,200 for Canadian childcare. But one would realize that that $1,200 broken down to $100 a month was actually taxable. So parents have actually been left with almost $60 a month. They have been left to fend for themselves. And this is why the gap in our country continues to grow. We talk about the fact that this government committed to producing childcare spaces. 125,000 childcare spaces were going to be produced. But yet again, it is another broken promise, because we take a look today, October 2007, and not a single childcare space has been produced. And under the previous Liberal government, early learning and childcare agreements were reached with all 10 provinces. They would have ensured quality, universal, accessible, and affordable childcare for all Canadian families. But instead, parents and families are being left to fend for themselves. They have denied the opportunity for so many women who want to participate, for fathers who want to participate in the workforce, but unfortunately they are unable to find access to a childcare space. I take a look at my own riding of Brampton-Springdale when I meet with constituents on a regular basis where they are unable to find access, quality childcare. And unfortunately, despite our many surpluses, we are failing to invest. We are failing to invest in children, and we are failing to invest in early learning and childcare. We have to ask ourselves, if that agreement would not have been cut by this government, one would realize that every single riding would have had access to over 266 additional early learning and childcare spaces. Now, all of us have read the research, and we all realize, because study after study has concluded, that a good start in life actually gives children a leg up, regardless of their family's socioeconomic status. And positive early experiences are going to help children build self-esteem, build confidence, and actually have the ability to cooperate and socialize, build their physical and their emotional well-being. And today in Toronto, in an era of surpluses, both at the provincial and the federal level, the City of Toronto is talking about cutting away, cutting back, and closing skating rinks for children, of closing swimming pools, of closing community centers. And why is this happening in an era of prosperity and growth? Prosperity and growth and success and surplus at the federal level. All of the money that we are trying to save right now and investing in our children is going to be spent on guns and gangs and violence in future years. We need to invest in our children, and we need to do it now. And that is why this motion speaks to investing in education. We have all realized that quality early learning and childcare is an important part of every child and their upbringing. More than 73% of mothers and children under 6 are in the workforce. And that is why I would ask, on behalf of so many Canadian families and the children of Canada, we must invest. And we must do it today. We must not think about doing it tomorrow or a month after or a year after, because we have seen that this government has inherited a surplus, but despite the inheritance, they continue to cut back billions of dollars in programs and services that matter to Canadians, that matter to the children of Canada. Thank you.